What is up, everybody? I am so excited for today's episode. I think I say that about every episode, which I think is a really good sign. And today's guest. So, fun fact about this episode and this conversation that we're about to get into is Kristen and I have not really had a catch up. We've had, some chit chat in the DMs here and there, like about life and things like that. But we started having a bit of a chit chat, like voice notes on Instagram back and forth. And I was like, hold on. I'm like, I want to go so much deeper in this conversation. We need to have it on the podcast. So I am so excited to have my friend Kristen back on the show because she's been on it before. So I'm super excited that you're here. And I'm so stoked to dive into all the things today. So
I'm
thanks for
so
being here.
happy to be back. And it feels like night and day, like where I am now versus where I was the last time I was on the show. So I'm just really excited to update the listeners.
Yeah. Well, and I'm excited to hear the whole journey too, because I know kind of the like bookends of it and some of the details, but I'm like, no, I want the full conversation to be publicized, to be for the people, Okay, so first things first, let's get into some rapid fire. What are you grateful for right now?
I am grateful for the fact that I get to hold my very own book in my hands.
Oh my gosh.
And
I
this is
know.
to promote my book. Obviously, I'll promote my book later, but I was literally manifesting that I would get it before this podcast because I just wanted to be able to hold it in the video.
Oh
And
my
this
gosh.
is the real thing. This is like the print proof, right? So it's got like, the Amazon not for resale language on it, but
Yeah.
this has been a lifelong dream for me and it's finally here. It's finally real. And to actually like hold it in my hands, I've literally been walking around my house with it. Like there's no one here. I'm just like, it's my support book or something.
I love it. It's so like for those who are just listening, because now the podcast is on YouTube and everything like that. For those who are just listening, and we'll get into this more, but Chris, it's a book. It's like a book. It's like a Harry Potter, like what you would imagine. This is a beefy book that she's holding in her hands. It's like a legit beautiful book, nearly 600 pages. Incredible. I'm so excited for you. Okay. Next. What is a guilty pleasure of yours?
Well, I mean, smutty books. I wrote a smutty book. I mean, it's not just it's got plot too, but it's got some smut in it. Definitely smutty books and also reality TV. I mean, they're kind of crazy and psycho and everything, but I still love it. I love like Selling Sunset and like all the luxury real estate reality TV shows. Mostly because I like to look at the houses, not necessarily for the drama, but
see, that's what I tell myself too. Because like the reality TV that I watch is like Love is Blind, because one of my girlfriends who's also been on the show, she was on season 1 of it, Kelly Chase. And so that's why I watched it. And then I'm like, well, now I can't stop because I'm hooked into this concept and it's wild, right? So Love is Blind. But then I also watch the Sunset ones and see, this is the only way that I get hooked into reality TV is because I have like a quote unquote personal connection. So Selling Sunset, they all used to go to the same gym that I go to. Right. So before the show came out, right, the Oppenheim twins. And and then the show came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I should watch it. Those are the guys from my gym. Right. And then I'm like, and I get to like look at all these beautiful homes, which are gorgeous. And I'm in that neighborhood, right? Like this is where I live. And then also like the fashion, which is outrageous and ridiculous. I'm sorry, no one's actually wearing those things to open houses, right? I mean, maybe there, I guess, like I'm not buying houses like that, but it's just so fun to watch. Yeah. And then in a recent season, I'm not going to tell no many details, but I was like, and there's a guy that I dated. Great. But like everything ended totally fine. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm watching you on the show right now. Great job, I guess.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I get it. They're fun. And I think I saw a new one came out. Then I'm like, oh, okay. Random fact that most people wouldn't know about you.
For a hot minute, I wanted to be a sommelier. I don't know if I said that on the last on the show, but
I don't remember.
Yeah. So I actually went through and got my level 1 and, I obviously love wine. I'm actually not drinking right now because we're trying to conceive, but for a hot minute, I was like, I'm going to be a sommelier.
Nice. See, I think if I put some intention, I could like start to, pick things up, but like, I'm like, it tastes like good wine. It tastes like bad wine, right? Like I'm not that attuned. Okay. I love that. Well, the last time you were on, you were doing an entirely different career. So if you weren't being an author, what's the next like really cool
Oh,
in an
no.
alternate universe. In an alternate universe, what would you be doing if it wasn't this?
And an alternate. Well, I think last time I said I would be like a high class escort. Smutty books that tracks, right?
You're like, I would be a high class escort. You know, same sometimes.
No, I think in an alternate universe, I would have written a book, 10 years ago instead of waiting this long to actually build my mindset up around it. And we'll get into that in this episode. But yeah, I think I would actually be doing exactly what I'm doing, but I would have taken the leap much sooner than I did.
I love that. I love that. What did you want to be when you were a little kid?
An author? Is this so boring?
It's not boring. Dude, it's not boring at all. It's
Yeah.
perfect. It's perfect because you're like, what I'm like, that's amazing. And how freaking cool and how happy is little baby Kristen right now, right? Like, this is so cool. I love this. Okay. Any like random talents or special skills, like party trick kind of things?
Well, I was a competitive dancer growing up, so I'm super flexible, can do the splits all the ways. And yeah, that's the main one. And then my
Okay.
grandmother was in the circus. She was a dancer in the circus, which I think is so cool. So it kind of like
Yeah.
runs in the family, that
Yeah. Okay. I like it. Last time you cried.
Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing because it's like not something you should cry about.
Girl, that's like me all the time. It's me all the time. I'm like, I cried because of this TikTok video that's not even sad.
So I was watching, I have two instances of this happening recently. I'll give both. But the most recent one, I was watching Burlesque, which is not like a sad movie. It's like
Okay.
like just a fun, sexy.
It's like Cher and Christina Aguilera, right? Okay.
And the moment Christina Aguilera just like starts belting on stage when she's been like denied and like Noah, the Cher, the owner of the club, hasn't let her sing, hasn't like really given her the time of day. She's like, you can be a backup dancer, blah, blah, blah. No, the dancers don't sing. You're not going to sing. And then someone's trying to sabotage Christina Aguilera. So she like pulls the mic, pulls the music. And then it's like awkward silence. What do we do? There's no music. And then she just belts. And they're like lowering the curtain. And then all of a sudden Cher's like, wait, raise the curtain. And then she just freaking sings her heart out. And I don't know, it made me really emotional because like how many of us are in that situation where we have a dream or we know we're really good at something or we feel in our heart that we're meant to be doing something, but we're just not doing it or we're not given the opportunity. And then when you get that like little sliver and then you just give your whole heart to that little sliver of an opportunity that you get, and it's like boom, everything happens. And I feel like I'm right there with my book. And so like that made me really emotional and I actually started crying.
But that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful.
And then the other instance I just want to mention really quickly because it's kind of the same like vein was I watched Frozen for the first time. I know I'm like 10 years behind on that, but I watched Frozen for the first time. And when she's singing Let It Go and just like she's finally getting to be herself and she doesn't have to hold anything back. Oh my gosh, so moving.
I love it. I love it. That's adorable. Last time you laughed, like had a really good laugh.
I feel like right now on this podcast.
I know this does feel very fun. I'm like this. I feel all the fun laughy vibes too right now.
Yeah.
Okay, this could be. I mean, we probably are on it, but what is something that you're just so excited about in your life right now?
Well, definitely the book, but I think more than that, I'm excited about where I am as a person. And I'm proud of like everything I've been through and what I did to get here. But I'm also just really proud that I didn't give up, that I didn't squash the dream. I just like let the dream keep going and I kept writing it and I kept editing it. And it was 3 top to bottom rewrites, which I did in a period of like 9 months.
Now, because the crazy thing about this, sorry, I'm interrupting. The crazy thing about this is I think a lot of people because like in our like online coach entrepreneur space, like a lot of people are writing books and a lot of them are going to be more personal development books and things like that, which might be like 100 pages, right? 200 pages. And so you're like, oh no, I wrote a novel, which I don't know if it's harder to write a novel or a personal development. Probably harder to write a novel when you're already in the personal development space because you have to create a whole universe and characters and all this kind of stuff instead of just like sharing knowledge you already know on a just deeper level. But then when it's like, oh no, I'm not doing rewrites on like a 200-page book. I'm doing rewrites on a 600-page book. That's incredible.
I did in like I want to say like 20 or 30 days. It was bananas. I also don't have a full-time job, so I am doing this full-time.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's
it's kind of crazy because like for a book this size, roughly 600 pages, which it goes quick, by the way, for readers, but it doesn't go quick necessarily writing it. So for a book this size, there are some authors who will work for a year on the first draft, and then they have to do a whole nother draft and they have to do editing. No, I did the first draft
wow.
in 111 days. Second draft, I want to say was like 20 to 30
Wow.
days. And then third draft I did in about 40, maybe 45 days. And they were top to bottom rewrites, meaning like every single chapter changed. Like it's not like I took like a big chunk of one chapter and plugged. No, I like everything changed. And the overarching plot stayed the same, but it was some pretty in-depth work. And I just kept going with it because I was passionate about it and it was really truly like a heart-led desire. But then I also programmed my brain to believe that it was all going to be worth it. And I think that's something I really want the listener to start thinking about is like whatever that thing is, that lifelong dream, that thing on your heart, that desire in your business, whatever it is, like teach your brain to know that all the work is going to be worth it. Because for so long in my business, I had that limiting belief of like, it's not going to be worth it. What if it doesn't happen? Right. Like, and I would sabotage myself over and over
Yep.
again. And so this time I decided, you know what? This is a lifelong dream. I have nothing to lose. I am in a great situation financially. I'm going to give this my whole heart and soul. I'm going to do it right? Like I'm not going to half-ass it. And I'm going to show all the way up for it. And I know it's all going to be worth it. I'm deciding right now that it's all going to be worth it. I'm deciding right now that, they're going to compare my book to Sarah J. Maas, who is a really famous multimillionaire author, if you're not in the book world. And she's in my genre. And I've had multiple advanced readers say, oh my gosh, I love this book as much as I love the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. Or, oh my gosh, I love this book as much as I love ACOTAR. And that's exactly what I decided and affirmed before I even wrote it. And then I wrote it and now it's happening. So you have to decide ahead of time that all the work is going to be worth it. Otherwise, you're just not going to deliver
Yes.
the same quality of work,
Yes, absolutely. And that's so perfect. I'm going to like bookmark this thought of like, what were the steps that helped you to do that? But then I also want to say like that aligns so much with like my quote unquote word for 2025, which I haven't like totally locked it down, but it's like faithful action, right? Because last year, and we'll talk about 2024, felt like I was like trying to like run through mud a lot of the time. Like it was just a frustrating year and everything that usually feels easy felt harder. And like, it felt like it took more work to get less results. And I was like, this is lame, right? And ending the year feeling so much clarity and so like went through a really powerful, important pruning season to where 2025, I'm like faithful action, right? Like, yes, being so anchored into God, but also exactly what you said, taking action from a place of completely trusting that every single action is working out, that every action I'm taking when it's aligned with the vision that I want and when I'm locked in with God, that every action is well worth it. And so just keep going, right? So I'm like, so yes, like believing like, oh yeah, these steps, even if I'm not seeing the fruits of this immediately today, these actions that I'm taking, they are so worth it. And this is like, just keep doing it.
Yeah. And it really changes everything when you come from that place versus coming from the place of, well, what if it doesn't work out? Like you just need to eliminate that from your vocabulary, from your thought process. And I'll give you like really easy tools because it's not like, this is the crazy thing. And I know we're going to talk about this. It's not like I did anything crazy to change my mindset. Literally all I did was put sticky notes on my wall behind my computer where I work with affirmations of what I want to come true. And then I would listen to subliminal audios of the exact same affirmations overnight, like really low volume, like so simple, effortless manifestation, effortless mindset work. And it is really paying off.
Yep. I love that. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be some big complicated thing. Yeah. I love subliminal audios.
Me
and
too.
like the affirmations, all of that. I love it. Okay. So we're going to back up now, and audience, things are going to get a little intense here, and it's okay. Cause that's, you know what, we just jump right in. So part of how this conversation came about for everybody is so we're going to rewind even further. So Kristen and I know each other from her being a client of mine. And then I did the same somatic certification program that she did based largely on your referral of it. And so like we like a lot of overlap. She's been on the podcast, all that kind of stuff. And so both of us in this like spiritual healing, personal growth, development, like that sort of world, and with a lot of like new agey type stuff. And I started seeing you posting like certain things on TikTok that I was like, huh, interesting. And then also things about like God. And there was a season too where you were posting a lot of like light language type stuff, and then where you completely stopped that. And I think I remembered seeing a video of yours like being like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. You can find those things, but I'm not doing that. And then I started talking more about coming back to God, Jesus, like all of this, and you DM'd me a bit and being like, hey, really similar journey over here. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have to talk about this all more. So I just kind of want to hand it over to you to share what the heck happened in the last like year, 2 years in your life. And I'll like interject, but like, this is so much of me. Like, I want to get up to speed of like, yeah, like a year ago, maybe a year and a half, like you were very much in that deep, like kind of nonstop healing spiral loop, whatever, and coaching with somatic coaching, which is still something that I very much believe in and stand by. And obviously you with like affirmations and doing the subliminals, that's still tools that you have. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go into it. Okay, so obviously this is all going to be from my personal experience, and I am not
Absolutely.
a therapist or anything. This is just like my little life journey. So
Yes.
grain of salt. But I will say, so I've had two major spiritual awakenings, I want to say, in my life.
Mm-hmm.
The first was I was raised Catholic, and that never resonated for whatever reason. And so I was just like, whatever, I'm agnostic. And then I had a spiritual awakening, and I became like more like new age spiritual, because I didn't like Catholicism. And I like knew, no, I don't really like Catholicism. It's not really my thing. So this spiritual stuff, this sounds cool. This feels like it's right, right? And that spiritual awakening happened when I basically confronted the fact that I had been in a psychologically abusive relationship, which we did talk about on the last episode.
Yep.
And so it was like with that realization, I like needed some sort of higher power to lean on. And I had rejected Catholicism. So I was like, okay, new age, this stuff feels like safe for me to dabble in.
Yeah. When was that, like,
go ahead,
calendar wise?
So all of that started when I was like maybe like 26 is when I started diving into the new age spiritual stuff. Now I'm going to be 31 in a week. So it's been a couple years.
But like 2019-ish, is that like a...
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which kind of makes it, which is so fascinating, because one of my big spiritual awakenings was when I got divorced and like COVID. That all happened like in the same, month basically. But yeah, so like there was a lot of this happening in like this like personal development world, coaching world, like around like 2019, 2020, like all that. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. So all of that was great up to a certain point. Like I definitely I was really numb and like detached and like dissociated from my body. So I definitely needed to like get back into my body, start feeling emotions again, kind of process what I had been through. And so all of that was good and important, and I needed to do that. But the problem started to occur when I put so much faith in these tools that had helped me heal from an abusive relationship that I essentially made them like my recipe for success, which it's never going to be that, right? And so I kept having this belief, like there must still be something wrong with me. There must still be something I need to heal about myself because I'm not achieving the success I desire. There must still be something traumatic from my past that I need to let go of. Oh, I'm still not fully open to receive. Oh, I'm blah, blah, blah. Right. Like I had all of these narratives in my mind that there was something wrong with me. And so my entire focus became, how do I fix myself? What else do I need to heal? What do I need to do to ascend higher in more new age language, right? Like, what do I need to let go of and transmute? And again, all these things are helpful and valid at certain points in your journey. But it got to the point where I was doing so much of that I was not really paying attention to earthly reality around me. Like I was so far in the spiritual that I actually did stop sleeping, and I had like a 5-day period where I didn't sleep because I was so like caught up and like there must be something wrong with me. I'm certain there's something wrong with me. This is what I've been taught in this new age world. If it's not happening, then you have to go inward and see what's wrong with you, what trauma you still have, what cord you need to cut, right? Like,
Yep.
so I did that, and I kept myself awake for 5 days, not on purpose. I just like had insomnia and like
So
couldn't.
wait, what was going on during those 5 days?
I was just still like feeling trapped in this place of like there has to be something wrong with me because I'm still not achieving the success I want. And
So were you
I,
like up just being like, okay, now I need to do this? Or were you like trying to sleep? Or were you just like in this like manic, like,
but my brain would not shut off.
okay.
I
Oh my
think I
goodness.
essentially created like this obsessive compulsive type
Yeah.
thing. And I know my dad has a little hint of OCD, and I've never been diagnosed, but since then
Well,
I'm always
but spiritual OCD is a real thing.
yeah,
Is like
yeah,
a very real thing. Yeah.
yeah. So I was awake for 5 days, and then obviously my family loves me, so they're trying to help me. So they're like, "Here, take a sleeping pill on the 5th day." That was actually not a good thing because I don't know if you know this, but some sleeping pills can actually kick you into psychosis. And I had no idea that this was a thing. And obviously no one around me knew it was a thing. They thought they were just gonna like help me sleep. No, I went boom, full into psychosis. And that part, was obviously very traumatic for not only me, but for my family. But it was also
What?
like the
Keep going.
exact call I needed, because what was interesting is my psychosis was about like Jesus and God and the Bible. Like it
Yeah.
was all,
Like, what did that look like? Like, what was going on during that?
well, I had convinced myself that this is really going to sound crazy, but it's from psychosis,
I
right?
mean, yeah.
I had convinced myself that I was like the next coming of Jesus Christ, which is obviously not true. I
Oh
am
my
not.
gosh. I love that little.
I am very far from that. I am just a human.
Sorry. Can we laugh about this? We can laugh about it, right? But I love that you're like disclaimer. Okay.
Yeah. So I was really in deep, but I actually think like when I reflect back on that now, I'm like, I think Jesus was like trying to get through to me, and my brain was just like all kinds of contorted and didn't know how to respond
Yeah.
properly, right? Because once I went to a facility for a couple of days, and then I came back home and I had some medication to like get my brain back on track and to get me back into a good sleep schedule. And I don't have to be on medication anymore because I sleep now, and I'm not in psychosis, and I'm not OCD about anything anymore. But once I was like back to normal, I was like, you know what? I really feel like this whole journey I've been on with the new age has only led me to psychosis, has only led me astray, like has only led me to exactly where I don't want to be. Like, and I had, memories of like before I got into the spiritual stuff of life just being so much more simple, of being more happy and like not feeling like I had to shoulder so many burdens. Cause this thing with the new age is you make like everything your responsibility and you don't leave any room for God. And
Right.
look up what Satanism is. If you look up what Satanism is, it's like it tracks very closely with like the new age philosophy.
Yeah.
So just like go Google that. Like I'm not trying to take anyone off their path, but go Google that and just like look at that and see if that sparks anything for you. But yeah.
Well, oh no, I was gonna say one of the interesting things about that is because it's so you and I talked about this a little bit because I shared this on the like, welcome back episode for this season. But like, because I was dabbling in a lot of new age stuff and I would have never called myself new age. I would have never called myself that. And I would have been like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? I believe in God and Jesus is number one. But I was like, but there's all a bunch of other bullshit flying around too, right? And in that, like, so part of so much of new age and new thought is about like self, right? But it's so sneaky, which is like Satan is really creative and really sneaky, and he's not all knowing, but he's been around for a long, long time. So he is very smart and he understands humans very well, right? And so it's like in the new age stuff, like I'm like, no, but we're like helping humanity elevate consciousness and all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, I'm doing good work by
Yeah.
doing this. I'm doing good work for others. And so much of it felt so generous and so service minded, right? yeah, and it felt righteous. And I honestly did not feel like I was operating in my ego and did not feel like I was self-serving, but it doesn't, it's like there's this difference. Like it can still be self-serving and look like it's good, right? Self-serving doesn't only mean you look like a selfish asshole, right? And so like the self-serving, like it is that sort of obsessive spiral of, well, what's the next thing I need to heal? What's the next thing I need to focus on? What am I doing wrong? Which is all me, I. And exactly like you said, you're not leaving room for God because you are trying to solve every single problem and take care of every single thing and trying to solve every problem that you're not meant to solve. You're trying to do spiritual work that is beyond your capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the clarity came in for me. And this video, I love TikTok, and I really hope we get to keep it.
I love TikTok so much.
I love TikTok, and I hope we get to keep it. But I was served a video on TikTok shortly after my spiritual psychosis and after I was like getting better and everything. And it was this video of this guy, and I wish I saved the video. I don't even know where it is. But this guy was talking about a very similar story to mine, how he tried everything. He went and did the new age stuff. He did shrooms. He did ayahuasca. I haven't done those things, but he was saying, I did this. I did the ayahuasca in the tent. And he said that he went to this one ayahuasca ceremony, thinking like, well, this will heal me, right? And he goes in, he takes the medicine, right? And then he's like, I look around and all I see are like demon faces. And I'm like, holy guacamole. I'm paraphrasing.
Yo.
I got to get out of here. And
yeah.
He was like, I need to get out of here. And of course the attendant was like, no, you can't leave. But he's like looking at the attendant, and the attendant has like demon face. And he's like, I don't care. Like, I'm leaving. And he's like, I go outside, and in the sky, there's a giant Jesus Christ. And that's when I knew, like, I was looking for Jesus and all of these other things, but I didn't even know I was looking for Jesus, right? Like I was looking for salvation and all these other things, but all I had to do was accept Jesus as my savior. And like after I saw that video, I like did a little prayer meditation, and I was like, yeah, this feels right. This is what I want to do. And it was like, I'm almost like getting emotional talking about it, but
I get emotional talking about this stuff all the time.
Yeah, but it was like all of my fears and worries and emotions just like boom, they went away. They just like melted. And I'm still human, I still think about things, but I don't feel it on a visceral level like I did when I was in the new age. When I was in the new age, they say you're like opening a door. I think you're opening a door to suffering. I think you're opening a door to like to Satan, right? Like I think you're opening a door to staying in your trauma potentially forever, and to focusing so much on what do I need to heal, or what belief do I need to shift. And I still, do mindset work. Obviously, I talked about it, but it's so much more crisp and clean. And I'm not like sitting in these toxic emotions for, weeks and months on end, feeling all my feelings. Like, yeah, you got to feel your feelings, but it should not be like this thing where it's like you're in healing for something for years and years and years. Like, again, like this is my personal story, but I actually don't believe therapy or like coaching and healing is good for me beyond a short time frame. Like I think it's good if I have a trauma, okay, good. I'll go to a therapist for a short time frame, and then I got to get my ass out of there, because otherwise I will focus on myself and everything that's wrong with me, and I keep that stuff alive forever. Forever. Every time I'm in that therapist chair, I will keep that stuff alive. And that's just me. Therapy works out better for other people, but that's how I operate. And so I just realized, okay, I don't need all of this stuff. Like I don't need all of these humans supporting me and my emotional well-being and my like feeling of safety in my body. Like I don't need that anymore. All I need is Jesus and God. That is literally all I need. And if I have that, then I'm good.
Yes. I resonate with that so much. And it's not to say that like working on yourself is bad, not at all, right? Or growth or mindset or anything like that, not at all, right? But it's very easy to quickly fall into that never-ending spiral loop that just like, well, now I need to go deeper. Oh, I didn't get that. Now I need to go deeper, keep going. What's wrong? Me, right? Like that that like internal, inward, downward, forever spiral, right? Of all this stuff. And like you said, like opening a door to suffering. Cause again, it's funny because in retrospect, it's so interesting to look at like going through this deconstruction phase and looking at all this stuff with this perspective right now. It's like, well, yeah, back when I was doing all that stuff and I was like tapping into my own psychic powers, which like that stuff is real, but it doesn't mean we're supposed to be playing with it. Right. Like, and like all of that and being like, okay, yeah, because that's not my job. It's not my job to do all the wild spiritual work.
Yeah.
Right. Like my job, yes, like access my intuition, which I believe is God channeling through me and speaking through me, like and like be so in tune with that. But like, it's not my job to be going to all these other dimensions and interacting with all these other beings because I don't think it's like, it's not that I think those are bullshit. That's not my lane.
Yeah.
It's not bullshit at all. Those things are real. I very much believe in demons. I very much believe in the devil. I very much believe in evil. And I think that you can see evil and demons and all of that all the time. All the time in humans, in whatever. Right. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not my job to go like handle all those things
Yeah.
myself by myself.
Yeah. And like so I haven't gotten to the place I'm very like non-denominational Christian. Like for me, what feels right at this phase in my life is like me, prayer, Jesus, and God. That's like literally all I
Beautiful.
do. So I haven't like dove in to the Bible yet, but people keep telling me you need to read the Bible. And I'm like, okay, when it's aligned, I will read the Bible. Not that I've never read it before, but it's just
Yeah.
been me, right? I did see a video on TikTok about someone talking about how in the Bible, and I don't know where it says this, but it says essentially like you don't have to heal or change anything about yourself by accepting Jesus as your savior. You are healed, you are saved. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like that. So like all this healing stuff that I was doing is virtually unnecessary if I just let Jesus in, if I just accept him as my savior. And again, when I did that, it was like late at night after I saw this TikTok video and I like was crying from tears of like salvation. After I did that, I was like, wow, it really was easy. Like I went all the
Mm-hmm.
way around just to go
Right.
essentially where I started. And I don't identify as Catholic anymore, but obviously Catholicism believes in Jesus Christ. And it's just kind of funny how life works.
Yeah, same. And I'm like, there's a part of me like, obviously I took the journey in my life that I took and here we are. I can't change it. I'm like, and there's a part of me now that I'm like, yeah, I needed to do that broadening and exploration and like getting real wild with things. Like I needed to do that to get back here. Right. But then I'm like, well, but did I? What if I hadn't done that? Would I be here sooner? Right. Like it's like, and then I'm like, shut up. That's not how it happened. So who cares? Right. But one of the really beautiful things about this journey for me, which you just said, is like and like it's tricky because this is a really nuanced conversation, but is the like, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, right? Or like there's nothing you need to fix because Jesus fixed it. So it's like a two-way thing because I think it is important. I think it is so important to get to a baseline of self-love where we have that and we like where you love yourself, right? But like as a baseline, right? But then it can be really the like all the answers are inside of you or you're perfect just as you are. Like, yes and no, right? Because if we believe that this world is a fallen world that has evil or sin, right? Like, and I know that that gets like really like, you know, may rub people the wrong way using that kind of language, but I don't know. Look around you. Do you think this is how life is? How life is in its ideal form? I don't think so, right? Like, no, we have plenty of evidence in our world that this is not the like utmost ideal perfection of how things could be, right? And so if we believe, right, if we can align that yes, there's evil, quote unquote, sin in the world, then we are inherently not quote unquote perfect. Right. So it's that like we need to be able to look at it in both ways of like, yes, I should not be looking at myself as fucked up, excuse the language, but like I shouldn't be looking at myself as that way, right? Because we don't want the imposter syndrome and the like self-hate. Like you don't want that, right? So there is an important baseline of self-love and compassion for yourself and looking at yourself as like perfectly imperfect, right? But then keeping in mind, like all that stuff you just said of like, wait, there isn't all this stuff that I need to fix, because that's the whole point of Jesus.
Yeah.
The whole point of Jesus's life. See, now, like, I'm going to cry now. The whole point of Jesus's life is being like, yeah, like the Old Testament, they're doing all kinds of wild shit. Sorry, God. I'm trying not to swear. They're doing all kinds of wild stuff in the Old Testament. And like every time they're like, oh no, like all this is happening. What do we do? And God's like, oh my gosh, go burn this or like sacrifice that or do this, right? Like all this kind of stuff. And then New Testament is like, you know what? All the bullshit y'all were doing and all the sin that you guys are like living with and acting on and all of that, like you're not really getting the message. So here's the one final solution that like makes it so that, yeah, we don't have to, the burden of saving ourselves and quote unquote fixing ourselves is not on us.
Yeah.
It's not, because we couldn't do it anyway. We can't do it, we can't do it anyway, which doesn't mean obviously this is not what either of us are saying, which doesn't mean I'm just now more just discipling to the audience. Gosh, hold on, tangent. There's a lot of ADHD happening. Who would have thought that this episode would evolve into what's appearing to turn into a faith-based podcast? I don't know. We'll see what happens. Right? Like, I don't know what's going on. I'm like created my own church over here. But like, yeah, we are not meant to like, that's the whole purpose of Jesus, is to come here and to like be that answer, because we can't do it on our own.
Yeah.
Right? Just so cool.
Yeah. And like the visceral sense, like if you haven't accepted Jesus into your life and maybe that's not your path right now, that's totally fine. But if you're curious, like do it with a genuine heart and just notice like what happens. Cause for me, it was like a visceral sense of like freedom, and like, I felt like I was like back to like my childhood self before I went through the psychological abuse when I was 19. Like I felt like I was like back to like happy-go-lucky Kristen, like everything I was hunting for and searching for and trying to heal my way to through New Age, it just was like given back to me like that, like instantly, as soon as I accepted this into my heart. And I mean, I feel very strange because it's all still kind of new to me. This is like my first like really being like a loud and proud Christian. And I did write a book that it's not a Christian book, right? Like there's sex.
It's okay.
There's language, right? Like there's, stuff in it that is not like necessarily Christian. But I think that's part of the balance, and like something I'm kind of figuring out as I go is like, I don't have to be like this epitome, because I feel like that's still like New Age training. Like you have to be this epitome of perfection, like spiritual perfection. Like there's this kind of like push pull that happens in New Age where it's like, well, if something bad is happening in your life, then it's your fault, right?
Yeah.
And
how did you attract that? What part of you, right?
Yeah.
Like all of that.
Yeah. And so you're like constantly striving for spiritual perfection so you don't have to deal with bad things in your life. And I think like when you shift back to like trusting God and accepting Jesus as your savior, you realize like, okay, like if bad things happen, it's not my fault. Like something like happen. And like, yes, my mindset is my responsibility. And I work on that every single day. And yes, I want to be thinking positive thoughts. And I still believe in all of that, like that we do create our own reality in co-creation with God.
Yes.
So I still do all of that work. But I think I've just gotten to this place where like I can write a smutty, cursing like a sailor book and it's going to be okay. Like God still loves me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I think that's also important, especially for people who are kind of new to accepting Christianity or accepting Jesus, is like, you don't have to be like the stereotypical Christian that we all think of, like the Bible thumper. Like you don't have to go to like this level of spiritual perfection that you're trying to achieve in New Age on the other side. Like you can be a human and be in balance and be in the middle. And for me, again, it's just about that relationship with God. And through that, I always feel like I'm where I need to be. And if I'm not where I need to be, I ask God to move me back on my path. And it's that simple. Like it's really like being in your feminine energy. We talk about masculine and feminine energies in New Age.
Yep.
Is the most feminine way of being is
It's-
giving everything over to God to do. Like, God solves all my problems. God helps all my manifestations come true. Yes, I do my human action, but I never think to myself, oh, it's me bringing these number of pre-orders in by my birthday. No, yes, I did the marketing. Yes, I wrote the book, but it's not me. God is guiding people to my book. God is guiding people to my business. It's not just me.
And too, like, one of the cool things like of this is like how many people could get your book because they want the book and then be Googling you or whatever and stumble upon this interview and be like, oh my gosh, she's a Christian. And then they go, huh. Right. And that seed is planted in that way. Like how, like, you never know how this could happen. Like it's so cool. And I love what you said with how New Age is like pushes you to spiritual perfection, because it's so sneaky. It's so sneaky because it doesn't seem like that, because it's like, no, break like perfectionism, which I agree with, right? But it's like, yeah, break perfectionism, but exactly like every good thing that happens, you were the cause of that. Every bad thing that happens, you then also have to be the cause of that. But it also like picks and chooses. Like, it's like, well, not every bad thing, because right, like it's so non-committal and like wishy-washy, and like, let's pick and choose whatever like I can justify easily for myself from all this random bullshit, right? Because that's the wild thing too for me about the New Age stuff, and like with my own journey, which I've talked about on the show, is that so many of the beliefs I was adopting, again, I never felt like I was away from God or really away from Jesus. I don't know that I felt close to Jesus, but I still felt like I still called myself a Christian, right? But the tricky thing is like so much of it seems good, right? And like you're doing good things. And
Well, and to kind of piggyback off of that, and maybe your thoughts will come back.
yes.
In the New Age, there's a lot of very covert spiritual narcissism, right?
Yeah.
Like, even like some of the people that I put so much faith in, and I had like these like wonderful beliefs about, like, looking back, I look back at some of the interactions and I'm like, okay, like somewhere deep underneath, there was still like this, like, to your point, the self-serving, even as like they were doing these beautiful things that are supposed to heal the world and everything. And it's like, it's kind of interesting to look back on it with a new lens, because I was so deluded, and I bought what they were selling, and I believed, okay, I really do have to go deeper. I really do have to fix more stuff about myself, and the whole like starseed narrative of like I have to save the world, and it just like puts so much pressure on your shoulders that you don't need to carry. At the root of it all, I think, is like this deep covert narcissism, and I think it's rampant in the New Age community. And I think some people think, oh no, I'm aware of that, and I hold myself back from that, or I whatever. But I don't know if you can really let it all go with that belief system, because the belief system itself is based on I am God, which we are not. We are not God. We are God's children, but we are not God. Like, we did not create this universe. Kristen Cipriano, I created this universe in my book, but I didn't create this universe. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's like really, it would be extremely challenging to separate this spiritual covert narcissism from New Age, because I think it's like embedded in the very DNA of the belief system.
Yeah. Yes. And so the what I was going to come back to is like with the New Age stuff, like, and again, like that's part of what, like, oh, gosh, like I see, I still even saying this kind of stuff, I'm like, don't say it. You sound like a freak. I'm like, hey, shut up and get out of here. God wouldn't say that to me. Right. Is like the devil, right? Like Satan, like that. It's, again, so creative, so sneaky that it's like, oh, if I lead you down a path that's obviously bad, where you're hurting people or where you're seeing people get hurt, you're going to know better than that. So I have to lead you down a path that's like a alternate reality that's less than and wrong, but you don't know it. And you have no idea, and you think you're doing good, right?
Yeah.
But then it's like, yeah, but then you get to heaven and Jesus is like, who are you? Get out of here. I never knew you. And you're like, what? Light worker my whole life, But so one of the things with New Age is like so many, and New Age and New Thought is like so many of these beliefs, right? And we hear them like, because how I got into this stuff was like social media, and like in the like personal development community, and a lot of that bleeds into spiritual community really easily. Like it's a very like the blurry lines with that. But a lot of these beliefs that I would just like, oh, I heard so and so say it and it sounds right and it feels good, and I've started dabbling in it and it's working. It's working. It's giving me good results. I'm feeling better. Things are happening for me, right? It's not that
Yeah.
these things don't work. They work really well, right? But not realizing that those beliefs, where they come from, is a lot of dark stuff, right? Is they're coming from the occult. They're coming from satanic things a lot of the time, but they just get like kind of getting a makeover, right?
Yeah.
They're getting a makeover to make them more palatable, right?
And and I would say if you're like listening to this and you're in the new age community and you're triggered by this, that's like an instant indicator. Like if you're feeling like, no, I have to defend this, like, well, why do you have to defend it? Like why are you feeling so emotional and so attached to this thing?
Yeah.
Like look at maybe your relationship with this belief system. And that was something I really had to do. Like it was a grieving process. I had to grieve
Yeah.
like leaving the new age because, and I also didn't identify as new age, but I had to grieve that because I was like, I felt so dumb. Right. And you're not
Yeah.
leaving it, but you do feel dumb when you're in it. And then you get on the other side and you're like, why did I buy into that?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do like a lot of forgiveness work for myself and I had to grieve that. But look at if you're defending it like tooth and nail, look at that because when we get really defensive in any type of relationship, including our relationship with a belief system, it's a trauma bond, right? It's
Yes.
like if we can hear constructive criticism of something, then that's like healthy relating. If we can hear the constructive criticism and maybe we're a little triggered, but we're like, I can hear it and I can like think about this and reflect on this and ponder this. Okay, now you're in healthy relating. But if you're coming from this place where like you're triggered and you're instantly going into reactivity, that's a trauma bond.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you may have a trauma bond with the new age stuff, which makes a lot of sense because I certainly did myself. And that's just another indicator. Okay, let me like take a step back and look at this and see if I still feel this way about this or if I need to explore something else,
Yeah. Yep. And like and one of the things too, like the new age stuff, it's random beliefs from so many different schools of thought, right? And so many different belief systems, religions, that sort of thing. And this is, and I'm gonna piggyback on this in a second, like my own kind of conviction. A lot, like there's so many beliefs too that are on like the quote unquote like old gods, right? The old gods that like even in like biblical times, God was like, what are you doing worshiping these fake gods?
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of beliefs that have like over centuries, right, been like, again, gotten a makeover and been repackaged, but are actually from religions that are older than Jesus, but Jesus came as the one solution, right? So why are we tapping into things that Jesus came as to clear away as the answer for, right? So that was like, I was like, oh, damn. Yeah. Good point. And one of the things for me too, which actually like when you were saying like, oh, I haven't gotten into the Bible yet, I was like, oh, I should say something. And so this is what it was for me a lot. And who knows if this plants a seed for you, right? I'm like, oh, this is so uncomfortable and it's so cool. So for me, it was like, it was both the arrogance and ignorance of myself to be calling myself a Christian and to be feeling so certain of being a Christian and having Jesus as the priority in my life and thinking that was what I was doing when I was like, wait, I've never actually read my Bible all the way through. Now, I will say, I don't think you do not need to have read the Bible to be a Christian and to follow Jesus. You don't need to do that. You don't need to have read through your entire Bible to be a Christian, to legitimately be a Christian and to connect with Jesus. You don't need to have done that, right? So it's not like, oh, if I've never read the Bible, I don't count as a Christian. That's not what I'm saying in any way. But I was like, felt so sure of myself and my beliefs. And then I'm like, wait, I'm claiming Christianity and claiming Jesus. And sure, I went to a Christian college. I have gone to church a lot. I've read a lot of different sections of the Bible. Going to my college, I had to take courses on the Old Testament, on New Testament, on world religions, on so many different things, right? So like, I'm like, oh, I've been in the Bible. Yeah. I'm like, girl, you're calling yourself a Christian and you feel so sure of this, yet you've never read it all the way through. And this was the other one. I'm like, you're calling yourself a Christian. This isn't for you. This is for me. I want to be clear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm calling myself a Christian and saying Jesus is number one and I know Jesus. And I don't know enough to know that, oh, it gets me so emotional. I don't know enough about my Jesus and my Bible to know that the shit I'm doing is not cool. Like, look at how arrogant and ignorant I'm being.
Yeah.
Right? And so that was like, I was like, okay, let me get in there. let me get in there.
Planted a seed.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, let me get in there because like, and it's not like the fear, right? Like I'm not afraid of God's wrath or anything like that. But I'm like, but how disrespectful am I being? It was more that of like the deep reverence and being like, whoa, silly little girl. If I'm feeling like so convicted in this and like I believe these things, I need to know what I believe so that I can know what not to.
Yeah. I think for me, and I'm just like getting clarity around my own resistance to reading the Bible. I think for me, I have like this just like beautiful, pure relationship right now that it's almost like this fear of like going deeper, but it's only going to get better if I go deeper.
Yeah.
So
well, and that's like how Jesus says to get to know him.
Yeah.
And also I will say, so last year or maybe 2023, I kind of started it, but I started like listening to my Bible from the beginning and then like fell off of it. I think I got like through Genesis and Exodus, which happened to be like, the two longest books of the Bible just about. So I like got there and then I fell off. And so about probably 6 months ago or so, maybe a little bit longer, started from the beginning again. And I'm like at the end of Isaiah. So we're getting close to the New Testament. I just can't wait till Jesus is born, Though one of the cool things, he is all throughout the Old Testament. It's so cool. Like I'll listen to a chapter and there's several there's one in Jeremiah recently. Or no, I'm in Jeremiah, sorry, not. And there was one in Isaiah. And I often listen to the Bible when I get massages. So my massage therapist, who I have a massage tonight, his dad was a pastor or preacher and stuff. And so we talk about God and the Bible all the time, which is so cool. And so when I get massages, usually I play the Bible and then I'll pause sometimes and be like, oh my gosh, did you hear that? Oh my gosh, wait, what does that mean? And just like, it's so fun. But there was a couple weeks ago and I was like, dude, so it was Isaiah. I was like, that entire chapter was Jesus. And we're in the Old Testament. It was so cool. And I will say, like, there's a lot of funny shit in there too. And like sassy, like there is. And a lot of sassy stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
What did he just say? Like, okay, all right then, right? So anyway, like I'm loving it. And yeah, but I hear what you're saying with the resistance around it of like, oh, and then am I then locking into like the rigidity of like religion, right? And that like the dogmatism of it and stuff. I totally get that.
And I will say too, like, I think humans get it wrong even when they have the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone's human. And so I think like you can go deep into these tools and you can still be coming from ego, right? You can go deep into these tools and you can still be like not absorbing like the full depth of them. And so I think part of my resistance is also that is like, well, right now I'm just like letting God guide me in everything, right? And I've given that permission, and that it's like it's open-ended, right? He has like infinite permission to guide me in everything. And so like with that, it feels so pure and connected. Like there's not going to be that human interference. Like my brain's not going to get in the way, right? But I think, maybe God guided me to have this conversation. And so we go exploring.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love everything we've covered so far. And we're not done yet, but I'm like just taking a pause to be like, I'm loving this conversation so much. And I really, really appreciate your transparency, vulnerability, all of that. Cause this is like I'm gonna be real. This is weird shit to talk about. This is like, I don't know. It is and it isn't, but it still feels weird to me.
It feels very weird to me because I like rejected religion so much of my life, and I was so deep into spiritual stuff that it is still very surreal. But I think, I think we should get to the good stuff because
I know that's what I was going to say next. Like all the amazing things that have come out of this.
testimony, right?
transformation for you. Yeah.
Accepting Jesus into your life. 2024 was by far my best, most abundant, most loving, most wonderful year ever.
Mm.
And, because 2024 was so amazing, I know 2025 is going to be even better. And the years are just going to keep getting better and better and better because I laid the groundwork and I laid the foundation in the latter half of 2023 and early 2024 to
So
have all
good.
wonderful stuff occur. Right.
So
So like
good.
I made this list of 111 desires that I wanted to come true in 2024. And I want to say 80% of them came true, which is like huge. I only looked at this list twice in the entire year. So it's not like I was like doing my little like
Yeah.
measurable.
Like every day, like, you know,
I looked at it twice in the entire year and I just like did what I felt led to do. And like 80% of them came true. And all of my big ones, like the really big ones that I wanted to come true, like writing a book, came true. We bought my dream car, at least for right now. We got a new Chevy Tahoe cash up front.
woohoo.
We got it $10,000 off MSRP, which was amazing. And it had every feature we wanted and none of the features we didn't want.
Amazing.
So, yeah, it was just a really great year. And like my husband has a great job and like financially we're doing amazing. And it's just like really cool to have had such a wonderful year. We went on these like 5-star bougie trips. We went on these shopping sprees and just like had fun and got to enjoy our money and enjoy our lives. And
Mm.
it was like everything I wanted to manifest through the new age just came so effortlessly when I finally let Jesus and God in.
I love hearing that. I
Yeah.
love hearing that. That's so
Yeah.
good. That's so good. Is your husband Christian? How does he feel about all this
Yeah,
change?
he is. Well,
Okay.
he was also a big, like, beautiful, like, divine masculine presence in my life when I
Yeah.
was through the spiritual psychosis and the sleep deprivation and everything. And it was such a rock during that time. A really challenging time for both of us. But yeah. And
That's so good.
I mean, he really reflected back to me so many things. I mean, one of the things that was, I'm getting emotional.
I can already feel it in myself and I don't even know what you're going to say. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. What she's
There were two moments I think that were like really powerful. So one was shortly after I went through the psychosis, and we were just talking about, well, why did you even get involved in the all the healing stuff? It's not helping you. And I kept like defending it. I was like, no, it does help me. And he's like, Kristen, I need to say it in a way that you're going to understand. It's not helping you. It's not helping you. And he just like had that like clear loving truth. And I think that like divine masculine presence is so absent from the new age. Like truth is so absent from the new age because it's like the whole non-dual perspective, like there's nothing bad.
It's
No, there's
so
bad stuff. There is.
subjective. It's so subjective. Yeah. Well, and I literally made a note on this today to like make a bigger post about it. It's like a lot of the new age stuff, and I would say the like, this is not where this conversation is going, but I'm going to say it anyway. The like super wokeism and like super like leftist progressivism, it's toxic femininity.
Toxic
It's
feminine. Exactly.
empathy without truth. It's emotion without, honesty, all of that kind of stuff. And so, so to have, and I will say too, for the listeners, Kristen has so many times when I talk about masculine, feminine energy, been literally like speaking about how your husband is such a beautiful example of that, which is so, I love hearing that. And so that's beautiful for him to be like, yeah, sometimes the masculine needs to be the truth teller, you know?
100%. And it was the truth that I had never like let myself think about, internally, or like, and I wasn't getting from my spiritual healers, right? Like it was the truth, but it was absolutely the truth I needed to hear. It's like, this is not helping you. Like you need to let this go. It's not helping you. And it was 100% coming from love. So that was so powerful. And when I let it all go, I could actually see it with clearer eyes. Cause I was in that trauma bond with it. I was defending it because I was so attached to it because I believed it had helped me so much. And it did to a point, but not all the way, right? And it also led me down a dark path. So it helped me see it with new eyes and kind of like snap me out of that trauma bond to be like, oh yeah, like if I ended up with a business that had basically imploded at that point because of my mental health issues, and I ended up in the mental hospital for 3 days and I didn't sleep and I had psychosis. Okay, yeah, maybe that's not helping me. Maybe.
Oh my gosh, I love that we can laugh about it and joke about it. Yeah,
Right.
because it's like, no, but I feel it, oh, dude, because I can relate to this because it's like it's hard to separate. Yes, there is a healthy amount of healing and
Right.
work on yourself to do and to continue to do and pursue, right? And then there's the new age side of things, which can, again, easily blend and merge in a way that's confusing to tell them apart. And so similarly, like, I'm like, yeah, but when I was doing all those things, I was making so much money and everything. I was traveling all the time and all this stuff was great. And I was like, yeah, but there were things missing. And I was still in that toxic cycle of all or nothing and of more for the sake of more. Even though I felt so much better and was so much more healed, it was still always more for the sake of more. I need to double my income next year because that's what we all do in this industry.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not good enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Like all of that. And then being, wait, where and that was a lot of my 2024 looking and being like, what is going, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that ain't
I'm
it.
like, what are we doing here? If XYZ are the things I really want, and those aren't in my life right now, is all this shit helping?
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so he like reflected that back to me and that was so powerful. And then another really powerful moment with him was, when I was still kind of like grieving the loss of the new age, which is so weird.
No, that makes sense though, because even for me now in this deconstruction phase, there are still things I'm like, okay, well, is this still okay to do?
Yeah.
Is that still okay to do? Because there are going to be yeses and nos. And there are things that I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask if this is still okay to do. Because
Right.
I don't want the answer to be no, it's not. Like, I
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So when I was still grieving it and I was like still feeling like horrible about myself because I'm feeling dumb that I basically what the Satan's trick on me, right? He was talking to me, well, what's the problem? And I was like, well, I just feel like God doesn't love me, right? And I had this belief that I told him, well, I believe that when two people are in love, I told him this before, when two people are in love, it's because they're witnessing God in the other person, right? And I had said that, I don't know, like maybe a week before or something. And he brought that up and he was like, well, of course God loves you because I love you. And it was just like, I like burst into tears. I'm going to probably cry again.
I mean, I'm starting to cry. It's not even my husband.
But that was just like a really powerful moment with him because he could see where I needed to be and what the gap was. And yeah, so I mean, obviously he's very supportive of me being back on the juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, the way that I've talked about it with some friends and things like that, it's one of those things where like, actually, I'm going to send you some scripture
Okay. Yeah.
that relates to this. But I'm like, if I can, but it's like with the shepherd and the sheep. Like if one little lamb is lost, like if, oh my gosh, this is, well, crying on the internet. Thanks God. If one little lamb is lost, God's not like, whatever, it's just one lamb. He's like, no, we have to stop everything.
Aww.
And go get that one, Woo! Girl.
Yeah.
And the way that I think about it too is that like, oh gosh, we're in follicular. We're heading into ovulation. So we're getting all the big extra feelings. We're real, everything's out there. But how I think about it too is like in retrospect, right? With that stuff, like God never leaves us when we're doing our bullshit.
Yeah.
Never. Like he's like, we're going through this phase. All right, girl.
Yeah. And I know that's in the Bible
yeah.
where it's like is it the prodigal son where he has to leave and then he has to learn and then come back, So I think we probably all go through some aspect of not through New Age. Maybe it's through some other
And I think the way that God looks at it when you come back is like, I knew you were going to get it. I knew you were going to figure it out. Like, I'm so happy that you're back. Like, you were so cute doing all that stuff. like, that's how I think of it. Like, being like, oh, look at her doing
She
all
made
that. Look
it
at
back.
what is she doing? Why is she doing all this extra stuff? It doesn't have to be like that. You know, that's how I think of it. And then being like, you come back and it's like, how was it? Did you learn some
I definitely learned some stuff.
things? That's how I think of it. And then I'm like, it's like the like, oh, bless her heart kind of energy.
Yeah.
That's how I think of it.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing I learned, and I think it's a really important lesson if you're kind of like straddling New Age and Christianity, or maybe you're in both worlds right now, or maybe you're just all the way on the New Age side, is I really learned, I was humbled. And I think that's really important, right? That's how you get out of narcissism, is if you're humbled. And if you actually like feel humbled and if you actually feel humble, that's how you get out of narcissism. So a lot of the new age stuff, you're in spiritual narcissism and it's very covert. So that was one thing that was really important. I was humbled. And then the other really important thing was I learned the difference between believing in things that are like far away and feel like a stretch goal, and believing in delusions, like straight up believing in delusions, what the difference is. And for me, the difference is it really comes down to mindset. So like, on the internet, whenever we're talking about manifestation, people are like, be Delulu. Okay, yes, but also train your brain to believe that those things that seem really crazy are actually possible for you. So like for my book, I've trained my brain to believe that hundreds of millions of people are going to become obsessed with this book. I've trained my brain to believe that. And as I say it, it doesn't feel weird coming out of my mouth. I don't have a reaction in my body because it's literally the script in my mind. And I trained my brain to believe that before I wrote a single sentence, right? So like before I even wrote this book, I set the intention and I started the belief system of, no, hundreds of millions of people are going to be obsessed with this. Hollywood is going to be salivating over the rights for this book. It's going to be the most successful debut independent author book launch of all time, right? Like, and
you're good at that. That's something you're good at.
Yeah.
Like just in my noticing of you, you're good at that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But so I think, a really powerful lesson I learned through coming back to God was like, okay, I can still have these huge goals. I can still, go after like I want to sell multiple millions of this book this year. And I won't say the exact number because that's just private between me and God.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I want to sell multiple millions of this book this year. And, I don't have a whole publishing house and marketing team behind me. It's literally just me, right? So, but it's also not just me. It's me and God. And it's me, and I have advanced readers. I have an advanced reader team, and they're giving it like 5-star rave reviews and comparing me to top authors in my genre. And like, I can still desire and know that it's possible for me to sell multiple millions of this book in this year, because I've done the work to train my brain to know, okay, that's within my reach. Right. And like no one on planet Earth would believe that that's within my reach just by looking at me, just by like knowing my setup, knowing how big my audience is, how big my email list is, whatever. Like no one would look at my structures and say that's within her reach. But I fully believe that's within my reach. And because I have such a powerful relationship with God now, and I've seen evidence over and over again that God freaking delivers, that God freaking provides for me, it is within my reach. Because I know like if there is something I have to do to like be exposed to a broader audience, God is going to guide me to do that. And I don't have to worry about the how or the when or exactly like when it's going to pop off. Like, it launches in 9 days. It might not pop off right away. I'm available for it to. I would love for it to, but it might, it might take a couple months, whatever, but it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen, and that's it. And like, it does seem, if you look at my structures and everything, it seems like it's out of reach, but it's not for me because I fully believe that it's within my reach. And I'm also taking inspired action along the way, right? That's the difference. Like if you're being Delulu, but you're not training your brain to see those things that you want as possible for you, as like a common occurrence, right? Like, I don't want to believe that it's a 1 in a million chance that this book blows up, because then it's a 1 in a chance. I want to believe, no, this is like an everyday Tuesday. Like it's a common thing for my book to skyrocket on the Amazon charts. Like that's so easy for me. I do that all the time, right? So you want to train your brain to actually see those crazy things that you want as being like normal, natural, easy, common, accessible to you. because then they're not actually delusions. Then you have
Yep.
the identity of the version of you that is going to achieve that success or receive those manifestations.
Yes. Yeah. Going back to the be, do, have principles, which is something I talk about so much on the show and my social media. Yeah. Like anchor in that identity. Like, what's the vision? Okay. Then what's the identity I need to hold to fully believe that? And then take the easy, inspired actions, or the
Yeah.
simple, rather, not always easy.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for it. And I like, so, okay. So actually, how do people get the
Yeah.
book?
So if you're listening to this, it is already for sale.
Yes.
You can buy it right now. So just search on Amazon, The Queen Rises by Kristen Cipriano. If you search the whole thing, it should come up. It might even like fill in the words for you as you start to type it out. Or you can go to kristencipriano.com and I have all the links there to buy it. I have the ebook version on Kindle. I'm also working on getting the ebook version on the Barnes and Noble platform, which I think is called Nook. So I will have it on the Barnes and Noble platform, maybe by launch, maybe shortly after that. Paperbacks will be available February 1st. So at the time you're listening to this, you can buy a paperback.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, if you like spicy romantic fantasy novels, I've been told this book is like moving to people's top spots. And I know that's like, I always feel kind of weird saying it because in a way, like when you do the mindset work, you sound like you're kind of arrogant about it, right? Like from the outside looking in, people are like, well, she's really up on her high horse about her book.
Yeah.
But it's just because I've done the mindset work and I truly believe that it's an incredible book and other people do too. And I've had the reviews come in. Like I've had advanced readers. All of them have been 5 stars. One of them, she put 4 stars and then later she edited it and she was like, edited to 5 stars. This book is living rent free in my head and I can't get it out of my mind. So,
Yeah.
really great book. And it has a lot of those kind of like spiritual lessons that we've about in this podcast. I mean, somewhere in here, you're going to be entertained. You're not going to know that you're learning lessons while you're reading. You're just going to be entertained and you're going to have a great time. But there's deeper themes in there that certainly come from my own life that I think make it a really special book and make it something that sticks with people long after they finish it.
Beautiful. What's the like 1 or 2 sentence like just like who's what's the book about? What's the book about?
So, in a dystopian elven universe where a vengeful king has stolen all the magic from all the female elves, we have Fiona Willowbark trying to break her father out of prison for a crime he didn't commit because that's the only family she has left. And then she gets caught by a high guard warrior who is also right hand to the king. So then chaos ensues, betrayal, romance, a tangled web of secrets. And there might be a chance that Fiona can overthrow the king and return the magic back to the female elves. So she's going to figure that out along the way.
Okay. I love this. I love this. Some like we've got some like I'm getting like Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones energy and like feminine empowerment. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. And like, you know, we know it's spicy too.
Yes. And there's animal friends. So if you like animal characters, there's some really fun animal friends and mythical creatures. There's found family. So if you like, you know, when your friends become your family, it's got that vibe in it. And it's the perfect winter Valentine's Day read. So if you're like a mood reader and you want to like curl up by your fireplace and read a book about the current season we're in, then it's perfect for that.
Amazing. I'm so excited about that. And I am definitely going to order. Can we order for pre-sale?
Yeah, so you can order the ebook. You can pre-order the ebook if you want to get version paperback.
Oh no, I want like a physical copy. I want a physical copy of that thing.
February 1st.
Okay. Next week. Perfect. Amazing. Okay, we are like at time. I love this. Like this, I have really enjoyed this conversation so much. Okay, so first of all, where can everybody find you and remind us again where everyone can find the book?
Yes. So KristenCipriano.com is my website and all of my social links. I have a podcast, I have a TikTok, I have an Instagram. They're all linked there. I also have the pre-order link for the book at KristenCipriano.com. So that's really the easiest place to go. And then if you're like, Kristen, I love this episode and I'm curious about the book, but I'm not sure yet if I want to buy the book, you can actually download the first 3 chapters off of
Nice.
my website when you join my email list. So you just scroll to the bottom of the homepage, enter your information, and I'll instantly send you the first 3 chapters. And then you're going to be like, okay, I should have just bought the book, because everyone who's gotten the first 3 chapters is like, I'm pre-ordering this right now.
So
So,
good.
but if you want to,
So good.
you can do that.
And I will say, like, you've done such an incredible job of marketing this and sharing your journey with it too. Like I feel like every day I'm seeing you on TikTok being like, okay, here I'm doing a rewrite, and and I just got an update from my editor. Like you really have shown people the journey of what it's like to be a first time independent author, and like your ups and downs with it, and all the hard work you've put in. So it's been really, I'm so excited for you and all
Thank
of
you.
this. It's amazing. You're welcome.
It's
And
also been
that,
just really quick. It's also been like the easiest thing ever to sell. And I think, like, I don't know if I said this earlier in the episode, maybe I did, but I think it's just an indicator to me, like that thing that's on your heart that you've wanted to do your whole life. You just got to do that thing, because this is the easiest thing in the world for me to sell, because it's something I've always wanted to do. And I had the right mindset when I was creating it, and I've gotten the feedback. And so it's just like, I'm just like giving people joy when I sell this book, like, and I think that's like really, really cool when you center in on what you're really meant to be doing. Is it really feels like you're just selling joy, like you're selling entertainment, or you're selling transformation if you're more of a coach, but it should feel like you're just selling something so wonderful and good, and it just feels so fun.
amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. And last thing, since this show is called Amplify, it's all about living as the most amplified, authentic, fully expressed, like purpose driven version of you. What's like a parting word of wisdom, or like a quote or a question, or just something, some final parting nugget to leave the audience with?
Let God be your sugar daddy.
Yes, dude. I said that to one of my girlfriends. I'm like, hey, God's the ultimate sugar daddy sponsor, like masculine energy. Let him be it.
That's the first thing. And then I have one more, which is create from a state. So, whatever you do, if you're a business owner and you're creating your next product or your next business, right? Maybe you're creating a completely different business model. Or if you're writing a book, maybe it's not a fiction book, maybe it's a personal development book, whatever it is, create from a state. And what I mean by that is decide the outcome that you want before you even start creating the thing, develop the mindset that you need to have before you even start creating the thing. And then when you sit down to create the thing, it's going to be your best work, and it's just going to magnetize the success to you so much easier. It's, to your point, be to have, but to me, the way I see it is like you have to create from the state, right? And that's that B aspect. And when you do that, just like watch out, world. Watch out. It's going to get good.
Yes, so good. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Lauren.